Welcome to Lead with Linnea, where we talk about real leadership for real people in the real world. I'm Linnea Rader, and I've spent 2 decades in public service leadership. From accounting to my current role as the Director of Finance and Human Resources, I've seen pretty much everything. The spectacular successes, the painful failures, and everything in between that makes leadership both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Here's the thing. Leadership is not reserved for people with fancy titles or corner offices. Every single one of us can be a leader in our personal and professional lives. Whether you're managing a team of 50 or just trying to figure out how to navigate office politics, whether you're a frontline worker or sitting around a boardroom table, leadership skills matter. My approach? I skip the fluff and get straight to what really works. You won't find theoretical frameworks or feel-good platitudes here. Instead, you'll get practical, tested strategies from someone who's been in the trenches, made the mistakes, and learned the hard lessons so that you don't have to. Through Lead with Linnea, I provide leadership development training and coaching because I'm passionate about helping people discover their authentic leadership potential. And honestly, some days you need to laugh to keep from crying, and some days you just need someone to tell you the truth about what leadership really looks like. So whether you're listening while you commute, taking a walk, or just need someone to remind you that you've got this, I'm here for you. So let's dive in and talk about what it really takes to lead with authenticity, impact, and maybe a little bit of sanity. Ready? Let's go. Emotional intelligence isn't soft skills. It's your leadership superpower. If I'm being entirely honest, I didn't know what emotional intelligence really was until about 6 to 8 years ago. I was sitting in class when the instructors started talking about EQ, or emotional intelligence, and I thought, oh, that's what that's called. Then, as a part of the class, I took an assessment from Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and things really started clicking into place. But here's the interesting part. While I didn't know the term, I'd been witnessing emotional intelligence, both high and low, my entire life. I just hadn't had the language to describe what I was seeing. If you'd had asked me back then if EI mattered, I probably would have said something vague about people skills and moved on. Technical competence, knowledge, experience, those are the things that mattered for leadership, right? Wrong. So incredibly wrong. What I didn't know, I didn't know. Early in my career, I was very emotionally driven. If something frustrated me, you knew it. If I disagreed with a decision, my face told the whole story before my mouth even opened. I thought passion and authenticity meant wearing your heart on your sleeve and letting people know exactly how you felt in every moment. I wasn't entirely wrong about the authenticity part, but I was missing a crucial element: the ability to manage those emotions in a way that actually helped me become more effective rather than less. I've worked very hard over the years to improve my emotional intelligence, even though at the beginning of that journey, I didn't really know that that's what I was doing. I just knew that some approaches work better than others, and I needed to figure out why. The hardest lesson: sometimes you are not the right messenger. This one hit me hard. And honestly, it still stings sometimes. There have been 2 situations in my career where I realized I wasn't the right person to have certain conversations, no matter how much knowledge or expertise that I had. The first involved a person in a leadership role who could not and would not take any conversation with me well. They had a skewed view of me based on who hired me and who I worked for. It didn't matter if I told them they were exactly correct about something. They would find a way to disagree anyways. The pattern became clear. If I made any recommendation, the opposite would be the chosen direction. Even when I had all the knowledge and information to assist in decision making, if the data came from me, the opposite of my recommendation would become the new direction, even to the detriment of the entire organization. I had to find someone else to deliver the message, someone they would actually hear. That was a massive ego hit. I knew I could have the conversation. I knew I had the knowledge and the ability. But I had to accept that no matter what I said or how I said it, there were people who wouldn't engage with it because of who was delivering. The lesson? Some people work with pure emotion. They didn't care that I had the information they wanted. They wanted to get it from someone else, even if what they were getting told was incorrect. The second situation was equally frustrating, but it taught me a different lesson about picking your battles. I realized someone had been taking credit for work I'd done and presenting it as their own. I discovered this when someone from outside our organization mentioned a project I was working on, but with completely skewed facts. When I started explaining the discrepancy, I was basically told that I didn't understand my coworker's thought process. The pattern had been developed for years. I'd hear answers about projects I was working on coming from different sources, and they were only partially correct. I could have beat my head against the wall attempting to correct the wrong I felt. But decisions were already made, minds were made up. My energy was best spent moving on to new projects and waiting for reality to strike. And eventually, it did. Empathy versus sympathy, the game changer. Learning the difference between empathy and sympathy was another huge hurdle, but this time in a purely positive way. The biggest impact of understanding this distinction has been in my work as the human resources person. Long ago, I would feel horrible, almost guilty for holding someone accountable and having a discussion or issuing discipline. It took me a long time to realize that I was having misguided feelings of sympathy for the person and what they were going through. They didn't want to take responsibility for their actions and assign blame to me. So I went along with it emotionally. Finally, I realized that whatever behavior was being modified, I wasn't the one who did something inappropriate or wrong. I was the one picking up the pieces and figuring out how to make it work. Their choice of behavior was theirs and only theirs to own. That shift from sympathy to empathy changed everything. Now I can genuinely understand that someone might be going through a difficult time while still holding them accountable for their actions and their performance. I can care about them as a person while maintaining professional standards. Empathy says, I understand this is hard for you and I'm going to help you figure out how to succeed anyways. Sympathy says, oh, poor you, let me lower the bar so you feel better. One builds capacity and respect, the other builds resentment and dysfunction. The skills that changed my emotional intelligence leadership. As I've built my emotional intelligence skills, everything has improved. I understand far more. I'm able to learn more. I'm able to relate more to other people. Self-awareness has been foundational, understanding how my messages are perceived, recognizing when my emotions are driving my reactions, knowing when I need to step back and breathe before responding. These aren't soft skills. They're the skills that determine whether I'm effective or just creating more problems. Social awareness has helped me read the room, understand team dynamics, and recognize when something's wrong before it becomes a crisis. It helps me understand different perspectives better because I'm actually listening to understand rather than listening to respond. Relationship management has enabled me to navigate complex stakeholder situations, build trust with my team, and handle difficult conversations much more effectively. I gain more diverse perspectives, which allows me to make better decisions. And self-management means I react less emotionally, so I can be more consistent, reliable, and helpful to my team. When a crisis hits, they know I'm going to show up steady rather than adding my own emotional chaos to the situation. The reality of low EI, or EQ. I think the most interesting story about emotional intelligence I can think of involves a person who told me they didn't need any training on emotional intelligence because they were a professional at it. At the same time, members of their team spent most of their time working around this person and rolling their eyes at them. This person proved to be completely oblivious to reality. They were unable to complete basic functions of their position, but refused to acknowledge how the lack of ability affected the entire team. They talked over everyone they came across. But because nobody bothered to try to interrupt them anymore, they assumed everyone must be interested in what they had to say. Their low emotional intelligence created dysfunction that rippled through the entire organization. Projects were delayed, team morale suffered, good employees became frustrated and disengaged. And the person at the center of it all, still convinced they were excellent at reading people and managing relationships. But that's the thing about low emotional intelligence. Often the people who need to develop it the most are the ones that they think they've already mastered it. Why this isn't soft. Here's what drives me crazy. The term soft skills. It makes emotional intelligence sound optional, nice to have, or even fluffy. Emotional intelligence isn't soft. It's the hardest work you'll ever do as a leader, and it has the most significant impact on your effectiveness. Technical skills might get you into a leadership role, but emotional intelligence is what makes you successful in that role. You can be the smartest person in the room with the best ideas, but if you can't manage yourself, read others, build relationships, and navigate complex interpersonal dynamics, your technical brilliance won't matter. I've watched technically brilliant people flame out in leadership roles because they couldn't connect with their teams, couldn't manage their own emotions under pressure, or couldn't navigate the political realities of organizational life. I've also watched people with average technical skills become exceptional leaders because they understood people, built strong relationships, and created environments where their teams could thrive. The practical payoff. Developing your emotional intelligence isn't about becoming a pushover or avoiding difficult conversations. It's actually about becoming more effective at everything you do as a leader. With stronger emotional intelligence, you can have difficult conversations more productively, build trust faster with your team and your stakeholders, navigate conflict without creating lasting damage, make better decisions by considering more perspectives, stay steady during crisis when everyone else is losing it. Recognize when you're not the right messenger and adjust accordingly. Hold people accountable while maintaining positive relationships. And read situations accurately and respond appropriately. These capabilities directly impact your results. They affect retention, productivity, innovation, and organizational culture. They determine whether people follow you because they have to or because they want to. Where to start? If you're reading this thinking, maybe I should work on my emotional intelligence, here's where to start. Get assessed. Take an actual emotional intelligence assessment like the one from Emotional Intelligence 2.0. You can improve what you don't measure, and you probably have blind spots you don't even really know about. Ask for feedback. Ask people you trust how you show up. How do people experience your leadership? What do they see that you might not? Practice self-awareness. Start noticing your emotional triggers. What situations consistently push your buttons? What happens in your body before you react poorly? The more you understand your patterns, the more choice you have in how to respond. Work on one thing at a time. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Pick one aspect of emotional intelligence and focus on and work in it deliberately until it becomes more natural. Get help if you need it. Working with a coach on emotional intelligence isn't admitting weakness. It's investing in the skills that will make you more effective in every aspect of your leadership. Your leadership superpower. Emotional intelligence isn't some trendy buzzword that'll be replaced by the next management fad. It's the foundation of effective leadership, and it always has been. We just didn't necessarily have a name for it. The leaders you admire most, the ones who seem to navigate complexity effortlessly, build loyal teams, and consistently achieve results, I guarantee they have high emotional intelligence, whether they call it that or not. You can develop this. I did, and I'm still working on it. It's not about being perfect or never having emotional reactions. It's about understanding yourself well enough to manage those reactions, understanding others well enough to build strong relationships, and developing the skills to navigate the messy, complicated, human parts of leadership. Because at the end of the day, leadership isn't about systems and processes and technical expertise. It's about people. And if you can't understand people, starting with yourself, you're going to struggle, no matter how smart or capable you are. Your emotional intelligence is your leadership superpower. It's time to start developing it. What aspects of emotional intelligence have you worked on developing? What's been your biggest challenge or breakthrough? Share your experiences in the comments. I would love to hear your emotional intelligence journey. Thank you for joining me today on Lead with Linnea. I hope something we talked about resonates with you and gives you a tool you can actually use in your leadership journey. Remember, leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional, authentic, and willing to keep learning and growing. You're going to face situations you never saw coming. make decisions that feel impossible, and sometimes wonder if you're cut out for this whole leadership thing. It's normal, it's human, and that's exactly why we need leaders like you who are willing to do the hard work. If today's episode sparked some ideas about training or coaching for you or your team, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at Linnea at leadwithlinnea.com or give me a call at 269-621-5282. Whether you're looking for one-on-one coaching, team training, or need someone to speak at your next event, let's talk about how we can help you and your people become the leaders your organization needs. You can find more resources, read my blog post, and learn more all about my services at leadwithlinnea.com. As always, carry social kindness with you everywhere you go. This world needs you and your positive mindset. Until next time, keep leading and keep growing.